You are now watching Demeech.
When you think of your first game system, you likely think of something like the Wii or DS if you grew up in the same era that I did, maybe GameCube or PS2, and if you grew up even earlier, something like the NES or Atari 2600. But when I think of my first game system, I think of this. That's right, my first game system was a Leapster. It's an educational game system, and unfortunately I don't have any cartridges so we can't play this today, but I'll definitely save this for a future episode. Really cool system, and I'm surprised it works after all these years. Some dead pixels right here, but again, it still works, no big deal. Looking forward to doing an episode on this. But if we're talking actual video games and not educational games, my first game system might just surprise some of you. This right here is the first game system I played. This is the Jakks Pacific Pac-Man plug and play. Released in 2003, my dad got this for Christmas in 2005, I believe, and although it was his system, I did play it quite a bit. So as you can see right here, we got the artwork of Dig Dug, Rally X Pac-Man, really good stuff here, and it's designed to look like a mini arcade machine. We got some more artwork right here. This is Galaxian and Bosconian, I think. And this has 5 games in one. So not only were you getting Pac-Man, but 4 other games as well. So you can see it's just a joystick, a few buttons, and you can turn the switch on and off. Now the thing with these plug and plays is they're called plug and plays because you would connect them to the TV using AV out. Well, essentially, back when TVs were CRT, they usually had a port in the front where you could just plug them in and play. These don't really apply to today's TVs because you would have to plug them in the back. That's assuming that they even have composite out. So what I'm going to do today is we're going to take a look at this plug and play, see how it holds up, we're going to play some games, have fun, and it's Pac-Man, so you know it's going to be good. So let's begin. Once you start up the plug and play, you're greeted to the title screen with 5 games. We have Pac-Man, Galaxian, Rally X, Dig Dug, and Bosconian. I've played quite a few of these games. I've played Pac-Man probably a million times. Now we're going to make it 1,000,001. Played Dig Dug a lot. Really like that game. Galaxian, played that a little bit. Sometimes Rally X, although I never really played Bosconian. I guess compared to the other names, it just didn't really sound like a video game. Kind of reminded me of Boston Market for some reason. And Boston Market's good, but I don't want to think of that while playing a game. Like, I'd rather play Dig Dug or Pac-Man. So we're going to start off with Pac-Man. It's a star attraction here. We're going to see if this plug and play is still worth getting today. So let's begin. Alright, everything's looking quite good. Looks exactly like the arcade. And hey, look, it's one of my favorite characters from Mario Kart. We got Blinky right here. So let's begin. So we are playing some Pac-Man right now, and if you've ever played Pac-Man, you'll know how it's supposed to sound, how it's supposed to look, and everything looks promising right here. It looks exactly like the arcade version, everything looks and plays great, the joystick is very high quality, but there is one inconsistency. The sound isn't close to the arcade. Again, not horrible, it's just a minor inconsistency. It's not like the AtGames Genesis where it's so bad that it's not even worth getting it because it's that bad, but it's inconsistent. You'll definitely notice it if you played Pac-Man before. But again, nothing too major right here because everything's playing great, everything looks as it should. No problems here. So we're just going to clear out this level. And because Pac-Man only has one level, I think we're just going to do a few levels because, you know, there's really not much variety and you'd just be seeing the same level. But judging the game as a whole, it's one of my favorite arcade games. It's just a lot of fun to play. Even nowadays, you can pick it up, play it, and still have a great time. It's Pac-Man, one of the best arcade games, and it's the most popular for a reason. Best-selling arcade game of all time. So yeah, everything's looking good. Everything's playing as it should. No issues here other than the sound. So we're just going to try to clear this level. We only got a few dots left, but the ghosts are very sneaky, especially Inky right there. So, okay, that was my move right there. But everything controls as it should. Everything plays as it should. There we go. So overall, Pac-Man still plays great. If you're going to play Pac-Man, this is definitely a good way to play it. Although I would say there are better ways. But the joystick really enhances the experience. It's like if you're playing it in an arcade. Which a lot of game consoles just couldn't replicate that. You could get something like the NES Advantage, but you're also playing the inferior version of Pac-Man. But despite me not being very good at the game today, everything plays great and plays as it should. So we're going to move on to Dig Dug next, which unfortunately there is no pause button, so it really enhances the experience, making it more like the arcade. Not really, of course, but you have to reset the whole unit. So we have to reset, get that purple screen, go all the way back to the main menu. We're going to play some Dig Dug. Now, Dig Dug is a very unique game, as that it kind of has music. And like when you move, there's a little bit of a beat, so you can judge the sound better here. Again, it sounds exactly like the NES. Now, what I think is going on here is that they're using some kind of NES on a chip. Like, this isn't arcade game emulation right here. Dig Dug was always one of my favorites. It's so much fun just using the pump, inflating the enemies just like a balloon. Yeah, this game is great. As classic as it gets. But other than the sound inconsistency, like with Pac-Man, everything controls great here, everything plays as it should. Again, Dig Dug's one of my favorites. I enjoy this game quite a bit. I wish they would kind of make a modern remake of Dig Dug, like a reimagining. I'm not sure how it would work, but we're just gonna get the gator, get this thing right here. I think they're called pukas. And before he flies, we're gonna get some points. You can really rack up some points using the rocks, but hey, if you've never played Dig Dug before, highly recommend it. It's also one of my favorite arcade games. Namco is the king of the arcade, no questions asked. So we're just gonna move on to this one right here. And create a path to use the rock. So we're just gonna get them right there while they're breathing fire. Alright, there was also a sequel to Dig Dug, which was a little bit different than the original, but still a great time. So we're just gonna try to get these right here. Now, Dig Dug's one of the easiest arcade games because if you wanted to, you could just wait up here until the level gets harder and just inflate the enemies. But that kind of ruins the fun of it and you won't get as many points. Alright, we moved on to the 4th stage. So as you can see, everything plays as it should, everything looks as it should, sounds a bit off, but still a great game, plays great. We're gonna move on to some Galaxian. Alright, Galaxian, here we come. Galaxian was actually one of the older arcade games releasing in 1979, which, whenever I hear 70s in gaming, it just sounds really, really old. Like, wow. I don't know, 80s is getting older now, but 70s, something about 70s and gaming, it just seems ancient. That's ancient! So Galaxian's a space shooter, it's like Galaga, it's the predecessor to Galaga, and it's not that good. It's really not that good of a game. I know I'm pissed off some Galaxian fans, but I'm just gonna admit it and say, it's very, very basic. And arcade games are supposed to be. And it's, again, it's not the worst game ever, but it's just like, I'd rather play Galaga. That game's a lot more fast-paced, you can get 2 spaceships. It's just much more interesting than Galaxian. It's still okay, but if I had the choice between Galaxian and Galaga, I would choose Galaga any day. But despite the sound inconsistencies, which they will persist throughout every game on this system since it's using some kind of Nintendo on a chip, I'm assuming, everything plays as it should. I'm actually using the button and it works really good. My shots are firing, everything's accurate. Galaxian, it just really isn't that great of a game, so even if you coated a Galaxian cabinet in solid gold, it's still gonna be Galaxian. But overall, it plays good. If you like Galaxian, you'll like it here. But if I were you, I'd just stick to Galaga. It seems I hate Galaxian, which I really don't. This isn't Paper Mario Sticker Star, but again, just not that interesting, but it was a very early arcade game, so I will give it a pass. By very early, I mean early for the time period and the grand scheme of things, because this did release in 1979. So we are gonna get this last one right here, being a major pain right now. Gonna try to avoid the, I don't know, he's shooting something. I think they're like laser beams or something, but it's an arcade, you're not really sure. Alright, yeah. Starting to piss me off right now. Okay, we did it. So we're gonna move on to Rally X right now, which is a top-down racing game. Very interesting game, if I were to say so myself. And there's also new Rally X, which is on some of the plug-and-plays, but this is old Rally X right here. So we are gonna start and begin. Now, Rally X, I think the goal is to just get flags. Like, you've seen the Rally X flag in Smash Bros. Before if you play the game with items. So, let's see. We didn't do too well there. So, it seems like it's a sort of maze racing game combo. So, we're going to try to get the special flag again. Been a very long time since I played this game. And one thing you can do is you could throw your opponents off by shooting dust. actually an item in Mario Kart Arcade GP. Very nice to see. But it's cool. I like Pac-Man a lot more. I also like Dig Dug more, but it's a cool game. I was just gonna use the Dust Cloud, but it didn't seem to work. Again, been a very long time since I played this game, so I apologize that I'm not very good at it. But hey, you gotta get good at these arcade games. Alright, I think we're gonna find the last flag. Gotta be here somewhere. Think we didn't go over here. Okay, good. Really cool that you can get a power-up like that. I think this was one of the first gaming power-ups in a racing game. So it was essentially bananas before bananas. Alright, we're just gonna look around. Oh! Not good. Game over. But everything plays as it should. The music is gonna be a little bit off, but it's Rally X, and if you like that game, definitely does a job here. Now, we're gonna go into this one almost completely blind, because I've never really played Bosconian. So, let's just recap the games overall. Pac-Man looks and plays great. Galaxian plays great for Galaxian. I'm not one of my favorites. Dig Dug looks and plays great. Also, Galaxian looks great. And then you got Rally X, which looks and plays great as well. So we can assume that Bosconian will look and play great. But again, there will be the sound inconsistencies. So overall, this plug and play is good. It's not perfect by any means, but it definitely gets the job done when it comes to playing classic arcade games, and it's doing it quite well. Alright, we're gonna play some Bosconian. Title screen's very interesting there, because it's usually a black space background with a title screen, but it's quite the reverse here. So let's see what this game is like. So it seems to be a space shooter. Let's see. So you can shoot in 4 directions, which I'm assuming that the goal here is to just, I believe, shoot these green things right here. Again, never played Bosconian, but it's fun from what I'm playing. It's already more interesting than Galaxian is. And you're just avoiding the aliens right here. And just... So it's a little bit like Asteroids. Not quite, but a little bit. It's still fun. Everything's controlling great. Everything looks great. So overall, I think it's time to review the plug and play. Give it a final rating. What did I think of it? For my first game system, I would say this is definitely a good option. It really got me into gaming. They weren't expensive at the time. I don't think they'd be expensive now. It's just a matter of if you could play this, because a lot of TVs, they can't use composite input, which it's unfortunate because there are a lot of systems and things that use it. They would only use HDMI, and none of the HDMI plug-and-plays are any good from what I've played other than the NES Classic, Genesis Classic, and of course the Super Nintendo Classic. And those are more expensive, they include more games, but this was like a $20 thing right here when it launched. And that was so appealing about it because you didn't have to get extra things, you could just plug it into your TV, play some classic Pac-Man, play some Bosconian like we're playing now. So if you have a TV that can play this, I'd say yes, it's definitely worth getting. But, you know, there are other ways to play these games. If you can't get it, not a big deal. I definitely do have major nostalgia for this thing. Really brings me back playing it. But, again, just gotta make sure your TV is compatible. Now there are other plug-and-plays, such as the Miss Pac-Man one, which I'll definitely be covering. But I just wanted to cover the first one that I played, just to give you guys an idea of what they're like. Well, anyways, guys, thanks for watching. If you have any ideas for games I should cover, I'd love to hear them. And as always, keep calm and da-da on.